Welcome to ELT Gallery, a channel on language learning and teaching technology, and linguistics. You're still following a series of videos on systemic functional grammar. And our topic now is transitivity, the types of material process. Now let's start. In this video, we are going to talk about first the concept of transitivity. And then after that, we're going to talk about the types of transitivity process. And then finally, we're going to talk about the types of material process. Now, let's start. We can start by asking questions of what can we say about Maureen. Maureen is a lady over here. That's Maureen. We can say Maureen is a talented dancer. She's dancing now. We can also say Maureen dances beautifully. We can also say she is very powerful. Here we see she is very powerful. So we can say she is very powerful. Or we can also say the street dance was performed well. So now here Maureen is performing a street dance. Maureen is a talented dancer. She dances beautifully. She's a very powerful dancer. She's very powerful. And the street dance was performed well. So we can see just one event and we can say what we see in different sentences, in different constructions. Now, what can we say about Jeffrey? This is Jeffrey. Well, this event happens after he wins a tennis game, after he wins a tennis competition. We can say he's celebrating his victory happily. We can also say he's very happy with his victory. Then we can also say he's an excellent tennis player. Finally, we can also say his victory means a lot to him. Now, let's see what we have said about Maureen and Jeffrey. First, we can say Maureen is a talented dancer. This construction, this clause is the same as or is similar to he's an excellent tennis player. Jeffrey is an excellent tennis player. Maureen dances beautifully. Then we say about Jeffrey, he is celebrating his victory happily. So the construction is more or less the same. She is very powerful. He is very happy with his victory. Then we can say the street dance was performed well. Here we can also say his victory means a lot to him. Number one, we say about the dancer or the tennis player. And the second sentence is we say about the dancing or about the celebrating. And the third sentence is we have she is very powerful and he is very happy. The construction is more or less the same here about strength, and here it's about his happiness. And the last we have in the four sentences, we have the street dance was performed well. It's about the street dance and it's about his victory. Well, in the theory of systemic functional grammar, we have transitivity. And transitivity is a grammatical system which enables a language speaker to interpret the world of experience into a process type. So here we see the same event and we interpret in different ways. The first we have about the tennis player. The second we have about the event, about the dancing and celebrating. And then the third we have about her powerful in a condition or state sentence. Or here we have about Jeffrey, we have his happiness. He is very happy. And then in the four sentences, here we have about the street dance, about what they dance, about the dance. And here about Jeffrey, we have a sense about his victory. So we have the same event, but we can say in different ways. It depends on what we want to say. It depends how we view the experience, how we view the world of experience here. The world of experience is understood as an action, event, process or state. So in the first sentence, we can say Maureen is a talented dancer. He's an excellent tennis player. We see that as a state. Maureen dances beautifully, and he's celebrating his victory. That's as an action or as an event. She's very powerful, and he is very happy with his victory. We see the sentence as a state. And then the street dance was performed well, or his victory means a lot to him. That we talk about the event or about the object here, about the goal here. Then how we see an event, how we make what we see into a clause is called transitivity. And the way we see an event, the way we see what we see is realized in a clause. So a clause is a realization of what we see in a construction. Now let's continue. We have the grammar of experience. So system functional grammar is also the grammar of experience, because we see an experience and then we express them in a clause in a certain way. Here we can say that systemic functional grammar is also the grammar of experience, because with systemic functional grammar we can express our experience in a certain constructions according to the way we see it. Now we still have Maureen here. She is on the bike now, but she is still dancing. Here we have the world of experience. We have the world of abstract relations. We have the world, the physical world, and we have also the world of consciousness. So we can see the relation between between Maureen and a bicycle. Here in the bicycle, here we can say Maureen is on the bicycle. So we can express what we see through relations, through the relations of the objects or participants. We can also see an experience through what the participant does or is doing. That's the physical world. We see how an experience as a physical world, as an event, as an action. We can also say something which comes into our cognitions or our sensing, or we can sense something. And then from how we see the world of experience here, we have the existing, something is exists, and that way we have the existential process. There is a bicycle at the corner of the street. There is a girl on the bike. We have the something which exists. Or we can express something what we see here using relational. We can say about the attribute, about the identity, about the symbolizing. Or we can also say about what we see or what comes into our mind, our consciousness, the world of consciousness. We see something, we saw Maureen, or we feel something. I adore her, I like her, that's our feeling. Or we can also say about our thinking, I think she's gorgeous. So this is our mental, this is what happens in my mind when we saw this event, and that's we have the mental process. Or we can also say behave something. We can also say, wow, that's beautiful. Wow, that's marvelous. So we behave something by performing an act which we are not aware of. So we behave. That's an expression of what we have in our mind without being conscious about that. And then we also have the verbal. We can also say, hey, Maureen, how are you? That's a greeting. That's a saying. And then we can also see what we see as a material process. This is about the happening here or being created, about creating or changing, about doing to an object, doing to a complement, or about acting. So here we have our world of experience. We can see the participants or the objects of what we see as having a relation to each other. Or we can also see what we see as doing something to something else, or just doing something. Or we can see how be aware of what comes into our cognitions. Or we can also express our feeling, whether we like it or we didn't like it, we adore or we love it, or we can also express what we think about something. So this is the word of experience, and then this is the way we express our experience, what we experience in front of us, into different kinds of process. Here we have the mental process, we think, we realize, we believe, or we can say something. We can also show the relation of objects. We can also show that something exists. There is a bicycle, there is a girl on the bicycle, or we can also see something like, or we can also say something which is happening, which is somebody who is doing to something else. So this is the grammar of experience, how we connect participants, how we connect objects into, how we connect objects with each other in terms of relational or behavioral or material. So from this figure, we can identify 6 kinds of process, how an object, a participant in the world of experience is connected to each other in 6 types. Now, let's see the 6 types of process. The first, we have the material process. This is what we are going to talk about now. And then we have the mental process, the behavioral process, the verbal process, the relation process, and finally we have the existential process. But in this video, I'm only going to talk about the material process. The material process involves an observable object. So we have an observable object, an object which we can observe, which we can see or probably hear or watch, a person, animal, or thing, as a doer of an action. We can see an object, a person, animal, or thing as a doer of an action, or as a goal to which an action is directed to. That's what we see, that's what we figure out, that's what we capture in the material process. Here we talk about the happening, what's being created, like the chocolate melted. Here, the chocolate melted. What happened to the chocolate? It melted. So here we have a happening. The chocolate melted. What happened? The chocolate melted. We also have creating or changing, like Jenny made a chocolate cake. So the chocolate cake here was created. Jenny created a chocolate cake. That's creating. We also have changing. She decorated the cake with chocolate chips. So we have got the cake and then she decorated the cake with chocolate chips. That's changing the appearance of the chocolate cake. So first we can have the creation, creating. Jenny made a chocolate cake, and then we have the changing. She decorated the cake with chocolate chips. And then we also have the doing too. Like Jenny melted the chocolate. What did Jenny do? She melted the chocolate. So this is what we have from the previous figure. We have happening or being created, creating or changing, and then we have the doing to or acting. Now let's see the sentences which we just had once again. The chocolate melted. This is intransitive because we have the chocolate and this is the goal to which and the action is directed to. There is no door over here. Jenny made a chocolate cake. This is transitive. Jenny made a chocolate cake. This is the verb here is transitive because it takes an object, chocolate cake. She decorated the cake with chocolate chips. So here the verb decorate also takes the cake here, a nominal group after it. So this is also transitive. Jenny melted the chocolate. What did she do? This is also transitive. So we see here that the transitive and intransitive feature of the verb determines the kind on the nature of the clause. So if we have melt, we can have transitive or intransitive clause. If we have decorate, we only have a transitive clause. If we have made, we only have a transitive clause. So The intransitive feature of the verb determines the kind or the nature of the clause. What participants are involved in the clause, the doer and the goal and the circumstances, and how they are involved. And because of that, the process related to what a clause is about called the transitivity process. So because the transitive and intransitive feature determines the kind and the nature of the clause, then the process related to what a clause is about called transitivity process. So we have a transitive process here because the process in the clause here is related or determined by the characteristic or feature whether the verb is transitive or not transitive. Now let's see types of material process. We can identify a transitivity process into two kinds. The first is the creative. Here we have Jenny made a chocolate cake. This is about creation. Johnny made a chocolate cake. Then we have Linda writes a letter to me regularly. Here, before Linda did something, there is no letter. So here, Linda creates a letter to me regularly. That's creative. Here, the object comes into existence because of the action, because of the making, because of the writing. Then we have transformative, like in sentences, Tom cropped the picture into less than 100 kilobyte. So crop here shows that the clause here is transformative. Fred gave the bag to Diana. Here we have the object has existed before, so the picture already exists, the bag already exists, and then Tom cropped the picture and Fred gave the bag to Diana. So transformative here changes the appearance or changes something about the object here or about the goal of the action here. The object has existed before and is affected by the action. Now let's talk about the creative process. With a creative verb, we have general, like intransitive. We have general creative material process, intransitive, like the traffic accident happened in Marlborough Street. So here happened, something is happening here, or something was happening. The traffic accident happened in Marlborough Street. Here we have a creative process, but there is no actor, there is no body who does the action, but it happens by itself. The traffic accident happened in Marlborough Street. A restless atmosphere grew among the young workers. So here, the atmosphere grew among the young workers. This is also intransitive because we don't have the object which becomes the complement of grew. Here, this is intransitive. It's general because happen here, you can have the accident happen or the robbery happen and also the teaching happen. This is general because happen can take with several kinds of nominal group before it. The same case with grew here. So grew here is general because it can occur with many kinds of objects like atmosphere or restlessness or anxiety or happiness. Happiness grew among the young workers. And then we also have transitive general creative material process. My wife prepares all the meals by herself. She's a good wife. Here, prepare here is very general because we can prepare food, we can prepare the lesson, we can prepare the test, we can prepare many kinds of object here. So prepare here is a general thing, it's a general verb with so many kinds of things to prepare. The same thing with made. You can make mistakes, you can make a cake, you can make a story. So Tommy still made elementary mistakes in his writing. So made here is transitive and it's general. It's not specific. The use of made here is very broad. It can occur with different kinds of object or things over here. Here the verb cannot be applied to several kinds of object or thing. And then we have a specific, which only occurs with a certain kinds of object or things. We have like Billy composes hip hop songs. Compose can occur only with songs or music or something like that, but you cannot compose tea, you cannot compose meal, you cannot compose coffee. So compose, the use of compose here is limited or specific. We have a specific objects or things after compose. You have also cooks. Maureen cooks Chinese food well. We know Maureen is Chinese. Maureen cooks Chinese food well. Here, cook here is very specific because it can only occur with something which is like food or meal or dishes or vegetables. So cooks here is specific. And then we have, he designs high-rise buildings in several cities. Here designs is specific because it can only occur with object like things, dress or cloth or pattern or application. So the use of design is limited to certain things. I finally painted abstract pictures. So here painted is also specific because it can only occur with pictures or objects which can be painted. The predicate verb here selects specific object. So if we have compose, cook, design, and paint, then the object or the thing which comes after it must be specific. Only certain things can occur with these verbs. Then we have transformative. The first we have elaborating. We also have intransitive here, like the mangoes have ripened. So the mangoes have ripened here, and this is intransitive, and the appearance of mango here changes because of the age, because of the time. The mangoes have ripened. We have labor salary increases every year. Here the total amount of money which the labor receive increases. So here the amount of money increases. So a change of the object or of the thing here. The mangoes have ripened. It becomes yellow, it's or rather brownish yellow, and then salary becomes higher. So this is here we have intransitive. And then we have transitive. Theo trims the hedge regularly. So here Theo trims the hedge regularly. Here the hedge is not very high anymore. It's not as high as the previous before he trims. So Theo trims the hedge regularly. Barbara folds the clothes neatly. So before that, the clothes were in a mess, but now Barbara has folded the clothes. So here, the verb here, the folding here, change the appearance of the clothes. You have brightened my life. Oh, my life was dull before you came, but now you have brightened my life. So you changed my life here. You changed the appearance of my life. It was not dark like before. Now it becomes bright. So we have the elaborating transformative middle process. Here we have the changes of some characteristics of an object, such as the shape, size, surface, age, or amount. In mangoes, here the color changes, the shape does not change probably. Yeah, but the color also change, the taste also change. Labor salary increases every year. Here you have the amount of money here, and the amount of money which they receive increase. That also changes. The appearance of the hat changes. The appearance of the clothes changes. They become neat. And then my life here is also changed. It becomes bright. So in elaborating transformative middle process, the appearance of the object changes. The characteristics or some characteristic of the object changes. It can be shape, size, and we have so many others. But here, something is already there, and then some of the characteristics changes. Now let's talk about the next type of transformative middle process. We have the extending transformative material process. We have Brian presented his paper well. The hotel provides good food. I borrowed 3 books from the library. Many students joined the online seminar. I met Ruth in the seminar. Here in the first 3 sentences, we have a transfer of possession. The paper here does not only belong to Brian, but now it also belongs to the participants. It becomes into the mind of the participants. It belongs to the participant. The hotel provides good food. So the good food here does not belong to the hotel anymore. Now it belongs to the guests of the hotel, for example. And I borrowed 3 books from the library. The books here belongs to me. We have a change of the possession here. The books here, the 3 books, now in my possession for at least probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month. And many students joined the online seminar. We have another kind of extending material process. Here they come together. They form a group and they come together. They give an accompaniment. The same case with I met Ruth in the seminar. Here, I accompany Ruth in the seminar. I met Ruth and we go to the seminar together. So we can say that the extending transformative material process either expresses the change of possession, like in Brian presented his paper. The paper here now also belongs to the participants, or participant has the paper. The good food here now belongs to the guests I think now. And then the 3 books now are in my possession. I possess the book here temporarily though. And then they accompany each other to join the seminar. And in the last sentence, in the last example, I accompany Ruth in the seminar. We went to the seminar together. So the extending transformative material process shows the change of the possessions of an object or shows an accompaniment to an object. In this case, an accompaniment to the other students or an accompaniment to Ruth. And then we have the transformative. The third is enhancing. We have like, I came to class on time. This means job on Sunday. Theo never brought his hamsters to school. He left them at home. Hannah entered the house at 9. The enhancing material process deals with emotion, either with the manner or place. So here, I came to class on time. This is it's accompanied with the time, place. I come to class on, and also time. It's more on the place. The Smiths jog on Sunday. That's also place here. The Smiths move from one position to another position on Sunday with a certain speed. They never brought his hamsters to school. So here, Theo never brought his hamsters to school. So here, the hamsters never changes its place. There is no motions of the hamsters. He left them at home. There is no motion. Hannah entered the house at 9. And this sentence is still about motions. So as a summary, we have the creative of the material process with general verb. The verb can be applied to several kinds of objects which come after it or which become the doer if it is intransitive. And then we have a specific which comes with the specific objects after a specific verb, like cook meal, write a letter, that's specific. But make coffee, make sugar, make tea, make breakfast, make is general. And then we have transformative. Transformative, it can be elaborating, changing a specific characteristic of the object, of an object. And then in the extending transformative material process, we have a change of possessions or we have an accompaniment. Or it can be enhancing, it deals with emotions. So that's the two kinds of middle process. Thank you. That's all.